To put that man's shield in the Smithsonian when he gave it to you. Hey YouTube, welcome back to SIBZ, West Coast, East Coast siblings, where we cover your favorite movies and TV shows. And tonight we are getting into The Falcon and the Winter Soldier Episode 1, Disney Plus's new series for Marvel after WandaVision. First, I'm going to give you guys a breakdown, and then I'm going to go into a little bit of review and let you know what I thought of the show. So we see Sam right after Endgame. He is working on a U.S. Air Force, I'm assuming a contract. He's been working with the Air Force for about 6 months. They're chasing some people called the LAF, L-A-F, some French people. So at the beginning of the episode, we hear the conversation that Steve and Sam had at the end of Endgame, where Steve gives him his shield and he's like, it feels like it belongs to someone else. Like, that's how we start off the episode. So right off the bat, we know that Sam is not comfortable stepping into the role of Captain America yet, which makes sense. You know, Steve Rogers, big shoes to fill. And you can tell that is affecting him so much so that he decides to put the shield in the Smithsonian. And I'm like, bruh, Steve is not dead. He's still an old man. He's still gonna see that, like, you didn't take up the mantle like he gave you to do. So we learn about the Flag Smashers. Now, what a terrible name for a bad guy group or whatever. And basically, these guys liked the way the world was before, in between, in the 5-year gap that had the world right after the blip. Wait, are they calling the blip when people returned and the dusting when they disappeared? I think so. The Flag Staffers like the space between the dusting and the blip, that 5-year gap, and they want the world to be united and not have any borders, but they seem to be going about it in a less than savory way. And so Sam enlists the help of a soldier guy, I don't know his name, to keep an eye on them. And at the end of the episode, one of the Flag Smashers kicks the recruit that Sam asked for help from, and the kick is clearly superhuman. So the kid's like, do you think they're, and then like they get interrupted. So clearly the Flag Smashers are some sort of superhuman, metahuman mutant group of people with above human powers. Okay, now the biggest kind of plot throughout the middle of this episode for Sam is that he and his sister are broke, and this made me really, really angry. Like, I didn't want to take it this way, but I'm just like, why are the black people always broke? Like, this man, he's Falcon. He's like fought in Avengers and done all these big wars and whatnot, and he's broke. And then they kind of try to explain it when they're at the bank, like, oh, they don't get paid that way. You know, people are goodwilled and blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, okay, but how come we don't talk about, I mean, Bucky wasn't having financial problems. You know, we've never talked about any other of the Avengers' financial situations. It's just kind of like, I don't know, I took offense at that, Marvel. I'm like, why is it that we get a black superhero, we get him on TV, he's the lead in this TV show, and he's broke? I just thought that was in poor taste. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I wasn't about it. I mean, I know Marvel is about superheroes having problems. You know, Spider-Man is iconic for that. Spider-Man has been broke. But I just feel like it was kind of in poor taste for Marvel to make that the main plot of the story for this episode, at least. Like, we know, you know, something's going on with Sam's family. His sister says, you know, they act like they don't know who daddy was or something. So there's something going on there, like they were in position of power or something. We know Sam has been gone all this time, so he's not been able to help his sister. But his sister seems to have managed to, you know, raise her 2 sons in the 5-year gap. You know, so, but yeah, they're broke, and they're applying for a loan, and they get denied. And yeah, I didn't like that at all. So at the end of the episode, Sam learns, and I guess the rest of the world learns, that the U.S. government can't survive without a Captain America. And so in the absence of one, the government creates one. Now, I got such strong, like, Homelander vibes when this guy stepped out and we saw his face. Because I'm just like, a created superhero? He, like, stepped into the role. He's, like, forced, like, it just felt really weird and creepy. And we know, obviously, that he's not going to stay Captain America, this new guy. But Sam, I think, immediately feels some regret he's kind of like, wow, that was my job to do and I shirked it. So I think that's going to be his character development. We're going to see how Sam becomes Captain America, which will be awesome, and it's definitely a story that needs to be told. I mean, we can't just go from Falc to Cap all of a sudden. Like, so I think it's going to be a great journey to watch that. And I think Anthony Mackie does a great job. I like Anthony Mackie. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about him being Cap, but we'll see how it goes. Now let's get into the Winter Soldier, who I just think he's cute, honestly. I think he's cute. They're both good-looking gents. Anyway, so Bucky is in therapy. We know that he's been pardoned from all of his Winter Soldier dastardly deeds and is trying to get his life together. He's talking to the therapist at the beginning, and she's just like, you're alone. You don't have any friends. You don't talk to Sam. Like, you need to get yourself together. And he tells her that he's going through a list of people that he's kind of wronged. And we learn in this episode that he befriends this old guy named Yuri, and turns out that when Bucky was the Winter Soldier, he killed Yuri's son. And so I guess he's spending time with Yuri, becoming Yuri's friend as a way to make amends, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, he goes on a date with a gal. He's trying to get himself out there. You can tell he's very uncomfortable. And I think it's cool because we see Steve Rogers as this, you know, old-fashioned guy, and like he's older and more conservative and more together. And then we see Bucky, who is still from that era and still acts older and whatnot, but he's not, he's just a little different, you know, which is great. He's still like the same edgy Bucky in the 40s that he was now, but his edginess isn't as edgy now as it would have been in the 40s. So it's cool to watch, cool juxtaposition for that character. So I like it. Okay, so now let's get to the review. First episode, you guys, first off, that first scene, amazing. I mean, we had soaring in the air and explosions and fights, and it was just great. It was great to watch. It was a great way to come out because, once again, the most popular Captain America movie arguably is Winter Soldier. So, you know, we're used to those, the fight scenes, the intensity, you know, that Sam Hargrave level of fights and combat and whatnot. And we didn't get a lot of hand-to-hand. We got a lot of like in the air stuff, but it looks good. I'm excited. I freaking love watching fight choreo, man. Like, when it's good, it is knocked out of the park good. So I'm excited to see that in this show because I loved Winter Soldier. Mainly, that was one of the reasons that I loved it. I love that we're getting to know Bucky and Sam because it's like we know them. We've seen them, especially for Bucky. Like, he in Winter Soldier in Civil War, he was very kind of like gruff and stoic, and like we didn't really know him as a character, you know. So I think it's really cool that we're going to dig into like who he is as a person and get a feel for him a little bit more. Also with Sam, we've seen him so far as like this wisecracking, you know, funny, got the jokes kind of dude. But in this, we really learn that he's just this upstanding, moral guy. He's not perfect, just like Cap wasn't perfect, but there's a lot of heart there, and there's a lot of like nobility in how he operates. So I think that's great. I'm actually really excited to see what they do with his character. I think it's important to note too that like the show is called Falcon and Winter Soldier, right? But Sam is in this weird place where he's not, I mean, he's the Falcon, but we all know he's gonna be Cap. So it's like that progression we'll see. And then with Bucky, he's not the Winter Soldier anymore. So it'll be interesting to see who he becomes, because we also know that he becomes Cap in the comic books. That's probably not what's going to happen. And I wonder if this show is going to be a one-off, just like WandaVision is. Like, we're not going to get a WandaVision season 2. And I think that might be what Marvel does with all of these kind of one-off series, which I think is like a brilliant, just every time, man. Marvel out the gate with these kind of new formats of doing superhero stories. Like, hats off to them. Okay, guys, so that is everything that I have off the dome for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I like the show. It's not WandaVision, and I think it's important for everyone to understand off the bat that it's not gonna be WandaVision, just like Captain America is not Doctor Strange. Like, the movies, the characters have different vibes. So I think this is going to be good. It's going to be, I think for me, it was a bit jarring to go from WandaVision, this like hyper magical, hyper super powered like story, to something that's definitely more grounded and more gritty and more realistic. That is The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So let me know what you think in the comments. Like this video if you like this video, subscribe, and click the bell so you can be notified of all things WeSibz. I'm going to be covering Falcon and the Winter Soldier every Thursday night, so I will see you here next week. Also, check out our coverage of the Snyder Cut because, bruh, if you want to see a fantastic DC movie, my heart. Anyway, not to ignore Marvel, because Marvel's all, but Marvel's Marvel, you know, they're always doing great. So it's nice to see DC getting a little bit. So check out our coverage of that, and yeah, I guess I'll see you guys next week.